Hey there, YouTube. This is TR Bailey. I'm going to come at you talking a little bit about the ban list coming out in September. We have a lot of predictions coming out from some of the top players. Paul Clark put up a video, or not, I'm sorry, not a video. He put up an article on Ultra Reality Games, which had a lot of controversy because it banned cards like Elemental Hero Stratos, it put Spore at 3, and it was quite an interesting list. There are some things I do agree with him on. There's some things I just don't. What he was putting out was he was saying this is what would best fix the format. I don't feel like this format needs much fixing per se. I know a lot of the top players like to see only 1 or 2 decks. I think I like this format a little bit more than most people would because it's just there's so much variety in the format. You can play like 4 or 5 different decks. I don't know if you guys have heard about the Alive Hero deck that's out in OCG, which is just totally nuts and broken, which can be played here in TCG as well, except for the fact that we don't have Heroic Champion Excalibur just yet. Anyways, it is absolutely broken, and what he was trying to do by putting Stratos on that list was to weaken that really broken deck. I think there are some different steps that can be taken to do that. So let's get into what my list is. For my Forbidden list, I have Future Fusion, Monster Reborn, and Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning. Now, when I take a look at that list, those 3 cards are just absolutely ridiculous. Future Fusion is a 5 Foolish Burial card for dragons. You have Escuredo coming out for heroes, which will make Future Fusion a much more versatile and insane card as it already is. You could do just so much with Future Fusion that is just nuts. The card should have been banned upon release. It is crazy. You could have the Chimera Tech OTK, which still can win because if you drop 25 machine monsters into the graveyard and summon a Chimera Tech, you manage to resolve a summon. That's just craziness. And 5-headed dragon being at 5,000 after it already gives you card advantage by putting 5 in the graveyard, that's just crazy to me. Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn is just too powerful right now. You have too many cards that can totally take advantage of the graveyard as it is. We have Call of the Haunted at 3 right now. We have Chaos Dragons that are just pushing out huge beat sticks that are just totally broken, that have crazy effects, and BLS just adds to that. BLS takes it a step ahead. It's a Chaos Sorcerer on crack if you want to try to put it into some kind of sense. For my semi-limited list, Book of Moon. I think Book of Moon is a versatile card. I think it's a player's card rather than a card. I like how the format is right now, where it's more of a player's game rather than it's a card game. Book of Moon would help that. I think Book of Moon is a very good strategy card. It's versatile. With Priority being out, Book of Moon is really good. Book of Moon at 1 makes it almost dead. Book of Moon at 3 is just too much because it's broken and ridiculous. I would run 3. I know there's a lot of people that would run 3 if it was at 3. Book of Moon at 2 I think is really solid. I think it works really well. And also on my semi-limited list, Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon is totally broken and crazy, and he's the heart and soul of a couple of decks, some of them which haven't really seen a lot of play yet. Hero Tex is one of them. Hero Tex really isn't all that good. I mean, it has a lot of potential, but it's not broken by any means. But Chaos Dragons being able to have that big of a guy and just being able to summon dudes whenever, it's just too much to me. The idea of Red Eyes Darkness is just, it's ludicrous to me why it would even be played. Also on my semi-limited list is Call of the Haunted. I think that Call of the Haunted is a very good card right now. You can play it in wind-ups, you can play it in many other decks and just make it totally broken. And so, for that reason, I think that Call of the Haunted needs to be put back at 2, especially if we limit Monster Reborn, because people will start taking advantage of the 3 Call of the Haunted, which is just far too much. On my limited list, some of these, I know I skipped limited and went to semi-limited. Semi-limited was shorter. My limited list is the longest one. Like I said, this is just what I think should be new to each of these lists. I'm not going to list out everything because that's just too much for me. But on my limited list, I put Goyo Guardian back to 1 and Royal Oppression back at 1. Those are two cards that I really struggled with seeing on the ban list, but I really struggled seeing in the format again. I don't think that Goyo Guardian is absolutely broken right now like it was before. You got to remember that before Goyo Guardian was in the format, we did not have effect failures, we didn't have solemn warning, we didn't have plays to be able to stop it. We have 2 torrentials right now. I'm going to go over that here in a minute. We have just so many plays that can be made. We have Dark Hole in the format. People aren't just summoning Stardust, sitting on it and waiting for someone to punish you with Goyo Guardian to have a Stardust and a Goyo and be like, okay, I win. So right now, I don't feel like Goyo Guardian is extremely broken. Also, a lot of people are playing XYZ monsters, so if Goyo Guardian attacks a XYZ monster and gets a special summon it, such as something like Acid Golem, which I know is too small for that, but there are cards that make him bigger. But regardless of that, the materials will go to the graveyard and you special summon the monster. You don't get the materials. So if you like attack over a Logia and you bring the Logia over to your side of the field, it's not like you can be utterly broken with the card. Also, Stardust Dragons, you're only seeing them get summoned by Starlight Road. They simply can't be summoned after that. So I don't think Goyo Guardian is broken right now. I mean, he would be amazing. Everyone would play him. I certainly would try to find a way to play him if I reborn someone's tuner and make him. But Goyo Guardian isn't a format breaker right now. Royal Oppression, to me, was a very difficult thing to see on the ban list, but it's very difficult for me to see in the format as well. With the powerful traps that we have in the format right now, Royal Oppression is really broken. It's really good. It will slow the game down a bit. It will make things, I think it will balance the format, because everyone can get a hold of a Royal Oppression. It's going to balance the format. Things are going to change up a little bit. It really will help heroes a lot, which kind of made me think that maybe it shouldn't come off the list. As a heroes player, I understand how good heroes are, and if you add Royal Oppression to that, that's just ridiculous. And then you have Escarido coming out, and they can't respond with Royal Oppression to Super Poly. So you could see a problem there to a degree. But I think Royal Oppression would be a solid spot at 1. I think that it would help the format. I think it would make it less sacky, less crazy. It would have your opponent would have the ability to respond and to ward off really broken cards like Chaos Dragons and stuff. And if Royal Oppression goes to 1, I could still see BLS and maybe Monster Reborn staying limited, just because they won't be as powerful. But like I said, I think that Royal Oppression is really good. I don't see it really coming off. This is more of a hopeful card, but I think it would be good for the format. Next card I'm going to cover is Torrential Tribute. What was Konami even thinking putting it at 2? The card's broken. The card's insane. You can't put it at 2. I can't possibly imagine why they put that at 2. They need to put it back in 1. That's just my opinion. They probably won't do it. It'll probably stay at 2, but I think Torrential needs to go back to 1, especially if Royal Oppression comes off the list. Mystical Space Typhoon. I put it at 1. Just like Paul Clark did. This is one of the cards that Paul Clark got heat for. Mystical Space Typhoon is broken, guys. Let's get real on this card. You also have other cards coming out like Night Beams and things like that. You're going to start taking away the strategy of the game and making it to where bad players can just win by blinding stuff. You're going to have 3 Night Beams and 3 MSTs. That takes away strategy from the game. I play MST, I play MST, I play MST. Oh, that sucks. Night Beam. And then make a dude. Let's not mess up the format like that. Let's go ahead and put MST back at 1 before it becomes a true problem. The Hero Alive deck, for example, played 3 MST and 3 Night Beam. Do we really want to see something like that happen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Here in TCG? And I doubt the Japanese want to see it continue over there. So let's stop while we're ahead. Let's limit the MST. Let's make Night Beam a solid side card. MST needs to go to 1. Inzektor Dragonfly. Everyone, including me, agrees that Centipede is better than Dragonfly. That doesn't mean I think that Inzektor should get Centipede banned or limited, because then the deck really won't exist anymore. The purpose of what Konami does is they try to make decks that are just not fun to play against a little weaker, make it not as strong as before. You don't want to to limit Centipede, because Centipede would make the deck unplayable. If you limit Dragonfly, you handicap the deck and you make it harder. So just go ahead and limit Dragonfly. It makes more sense to me than killing the deck completely. Next one, Elemental Hero Bubbleman. Yeah, instead of Stratos, limit Bubbleman. Bubbleman is the problem with the Hero Alive deck. Bubbleman is the reason why it's so good. Just limit Bubbleman. That makes things a lot easier. Now you can't go Blade Armor, Heroic Champion, Excalibur. You know, just ban or just limit Bubbleman. Makes more sense to me than killing multiple decks off by banning Stratos. Just makes more sense to me. A Hero Lives. Let's limit that card too. I mean, it's been like since I've seen it, it looks like a card that should be limited. I mean, pay half your life points, special a dude from your deck. Come on, a normal spell card that just specials a guy. Let's limit that card. Let's not let that card break our format. Light Pulsar Dragon. It's my other one. My last card at 1. Light Pulsar Dragon is a broken card. I mean, guys, it's at 2,500 and it lets you revive guys. Let's put that at 1. I mean, I see it more likely going to 2. Let's put it at 1 though. The card's just totally busted. If it was at 2,300 attack, I'd say play 5 of them for all I care. But at 2,500, it gets over Logias. It gets over most of the cards in the format. Just put it at 1. It will still be amazing at 1. No reason to be putting it at 3. It's just ridiculous. So let's put it at 1 and let's put that to rest. Some other cards that are a good discussion to talk about. Pot of Avarice. Paul Clark talked about Pot of Avarice being broken to an unbelief. I completely disagree with Paul on this one. I think that Pot of Avarice was broken when we had the plant deck out, of course. But right now, I don't think that that Pot of Avarice is broken enough to ban. Pot of Avarice is really good in Inzectors. I mean, it's pretty good in Inzectors. It's really good in windups, and it's pretty good in Dino Rabbits. But how many times guys who play those decks have Pot of Avarice in their hand and wish it was something else? It happens a lot. So let's not try to fix something that's not broken with Pot of Avarice. And I forgot to talk about the cards that I want to see totally off the list. Reborn Tengu. Reborn Tengu isn't really doing it. Wouldn't do anything right now in this format. So just put it at 3. It's not doing anything. I mean, we have Spore and Bulb banned. So just bring Tengu to 3. It's not like they get their effect if they're used as XYZ material. So let's just bring those to 3. Also, Xian Smoke Signal, I think that could go to 3. That deck, the deck needs a hand up. I mean, Six Samurais is a good deck. We see it topping a lot at YCSs. It's not getting there. Just give them the Xian Smoke Signal. It's not really going to make that much of a difference. It really isn't. Another card to talk about would be Reinforcement of the Army. Paul talked about putting Reinforcement of the Army at 2. That would be worse than putting Stratos that's kind of a weird concept to me. You want to ban Stratos, but you want to put Reinforcement of the Army at 2 to make the deck more broken. Because if I'm playing Alive Heroes, I'd rather be able to set 4 or 5 cards that are normal spell cards, special a Bubble Man, flip Reinforcement of the Army, special Bubble Man. That's broken to me. Stratos can sometimes, if you have a Stratos and a Bubble Man, it can kind of cock block your play. So, I mean, there's really no point in putting Reinforcements of the Army at 2. It's too broken. Tour Guide of the Underworld. This is a very interesting card to talk about. Tour Guide to the Underworld is, as we all know, it's broken and people say it's an unbalanced card and it does all these things that are bad for the format. It doesn't do bad stuff for our format. It makes more decks playable. It's a balanced card. It's similar to Solemn Warning in my opinion. A lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but let's keep Tour Guide at 3. Tour Guide at 3 makes decks fun. If you put Tour Guide at less than 2, it's not even playable. Paul put it at 1. If you put it at 1, that doesn't do anything. Now you're sitting there looking at decks that just don't do anything. You're looking at a 2-card deck format. So let's keep Tour Guide at 3. I think Tour Guide at 3 is fair. You also got to realize they haven't gotten into an OCG yet. It's going to stay at 3, at least for the format. Next is Wind Up, Carriers, and Mighty. It's broken. I would put it on my ban list, or not my ban list. I'd probably put it at limited. The problem with this card is it hasn't been played. It can't really be used to its full potential in the OCG. They don't have Shark yet. And so until they have Shark, it's really not going to do anything for them. So we're not going to see that deck get hit just yet. I wouldn't worry about it too much anyway. You have so many hand trap presence in this game that windups really shouldn't have. You shouldn't have problems. Windups shouldn't be top 32ing at YCSs. They shouldn't have won WCQ. With no offense to Tyler Tadman, major props for that deck call. Really great call. Just side the Max C's and the Effect Veilers. That's all you have to do against that deck. And then we already talked a little bit about Elemental Hero Stratos, but we'll go into it a little bit more in depth. He's the engine to multiple different decks. So I don't see it getting banned ever. He is broken. He's unbelievably broken. But, I mean, he's like the tour guide for Elemental Heroes. Just leave him at 1 where he is. He's fine. Don't put him at 2 ever, because that's stupid. Don't put him at 3. Oh, definitely don't put him at 3. That deck would be just the nuts. But keep him at 1. I think that it's a safe call. I think it's the best thing for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Moving forward is to keep that card at 1. Dark Hole was an interesting one that I thought about. I mean, I can't help but to think that's broken. I think there's enough cards out there right now to counter Dark Bribe, Dark Bribe and Starlight Road. We have enough cards out there that can counter Dark Hole, but I think that Dark Hole is definitely something we should look at putting back on the ban list probably in the near future. But right now I think it's okay. Mind Control and Brain Control. I could see Brain Control coming off the list at 1. I hope not, because I just feel like that's too sacky and too broken. Mind Control I think is just fine. We saw Paul's list had Mind Control at 1. I didn't really like that. I mean, I could see his argument with it, but I don't feel like it would be beneficial to the game. I don't think it really does enough. You don't see everyone playing Mind Control. Dark Magician of Chaos and Chaos Emperor Dragon. These are cards that I could see Konami being really stupid and putting at 1. Please, Konami, just don't do it. If you ban Monster Reborn, I mean, I guess Dark Magician of Chaos wouldn't be that big of a deal, but please don't bring back Chaos Emperor Dragon. People think I'm crazy for thinking this is a possibility, but look at what they've done. They've made a broken dragon deck. They have made cards like Effect Veilers and Warnings. It's time where they can start somewhat justifying bringing you back. Just please don't do it. It'll make the format really ridiculous. Just don't do it. It's craziness. Just please don't do it. Morphing Jar and Card Destruction were some things that I had in my head talking about being banned, as well as a couple of other Dark World stuff. I don't think Dark Worlds can really get hit because of their lack of play. I know it won the 100th YCS, but the problem with that card is that people aren't playing them enough. I think that Eradicator should be banned and Giraffa should be a 1 or 2, stuff like that. But Morphing Jar and Card Destruction, I thought about them a lot. I feel those cards are just totally broken. It gives turn player way too much card advantage. I could play Card Destruction and ditch a really, like in Chaos Dragons, I could drop it for a whole hand of monsters, pick up 5 new cards, and then just make plays. That's crazy to me. Same thing, Dark Worlds can do that, and they also get searches off of it. So they could go from having 6 cards in their hand to like 8 or 9 cards in their hand, and they could have dropped Graphas, and it's just a mess. Just don't do that. I'd say it'd be much. I think that card should be banned. Morphing Jar, too much turn player. I mean, it's a win or loss card. You know, kind of like Trap Dust Shoot, when the argument they made in the Konami article. Trap Dust Shoot was either a really good card or a really bad card for either your opponent or you. Let's just get rid of Morphing Jar. Morphing Jar could be a total advantage. Morphing Jar could be a total advantage for you if you flip it on your turn. It could be a total disadvantage if it's attacked into while it's your opponent's turn. So I was thinking that card should be banned. I didn't really put it on the list. I just think it's something to think about because of how stupid the card is. The Plan Engine, Spore, Glow Bulb, Trishula, cards like that, I think they should just go ahead and stay banned. But I think it's interesting. I'm kind of curious at how that deck would play out in the format that it is. I'm really interested in what that deck could do. So I'm kind of curious. I kind of want it to come off, but I don't at the same time just because it's craziness. But I kind of want to see what Synchro Plants would do right now. But then again, you have Quasar, and it would be craziness. So I think it's best to leave them on the ban list, but I am really curious at how it would play out with Dino Rabbits and those other decks. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope that you found this to be informative. Please remember to like, subscribe, and to leave your input. Thanks. TR Bailey signing out.